Hello viewers and learners of the Postgraduate Diploma in Environmental Management and Law. Welcome to this program. Today, June 5th, is observed as the World Environment Day. Now, every year, different themes are celebrated on the World Environment Day, and this basically urges all the citizens and the people to take a pledge and to save the planet. And this also tries to bring about an awareness about the different environmental issues and how we should live in harmony with our Earth's life-supporting systems. This year, the theme for the World Environment Day is land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. Now, a resource is anything that we get from our environment, from the Earth's life support systems, that is to meet our needs. Now, human beings with time have depleted all the natural resources and have exploited nature, and this has resulted in land degradation, deforestation, pollution of the environment, and also global warming and several other environmental problems. Did you know that 1/5 of the world's population have inadequate housing facilities and do not have access to clean drinking water and sanitation? Again, 1 in 3 children under 5 suffer from malnutrition. Now, there is a great disparity if we see in the gross per capita GDP among the high, the middle, the low, and also the very low income countries, and this wealth gap is really enormous. So more than a billion people, they live on less than $1 per day. Now let me give you a case history and an example from that which happened in Brazil, in Curitiba, that is a city in Brazil. Now in 1950, this city had inhabitants of just 3 lakh inhabitants and people. By 1990, this population of the people increased to 2.3 million. This was basically due to the migration by the rural population as they were displaced by the mechanization of the agricultural practices. Now, as the people started staying near the edges of the city, this rural population, then they started living in very poor sanitation conditions. There was poverty, and also there was flooding due to the streams and the rivers that they converted them into the artificial canals. All this was leading the city into degradation. Now, degradation, if we have to define one of the causes of environmental degradation, that is due to the common property resource which is owned by no one, but it is available for all of us free of charge. And in 1968, Garrett Hardin said that this degradation of the common property resource, that is referred to as a tragedy of the commons. So that is what occurred here. And in 1995, due to strong leadership and the innovative practices by the mayor of the city, then we saw that the city started becoming the city of the future, the hope of the future. Here, a lot of the efficient transport systems came in line, and the efficient garbage disposal and recycling mechanisms came into practice, and several other environmentally conscious behavior from all the citizens came in to practice. And then the people were also given incentives where they could recycle their garbage at common points, at point source of collection. And here they were given incentives in the form of bus tokens, then the surplus food material, and also the notebooks for the school children. This worked miracle and wonders for the city, and in a few years and course of time, the city became the city of the future, and it also was known as the ecological capital of Brazil. So from this story, or from this case history, this illustrates that the strong leadership and also innovative ideas that can actually help the citizens and people live in harmony with nature and can bring about the sustainable behavior and the lifestyles that the people could adopt. And also education plays a very important role in all of this. Today, we will discuss on the National Education Policy 2020 and the environmental awareness and the environmental education, and also how the cities can then develop into sustainable societies. So if you could throw some light on this, Professor R. Baskar, then the learners will be benefited from this.
Thank you very much. You have rightly explained that the education is the tool which empowers individuals. And we are living in a very, very exciting times, and the context is very important. Why the context is very important is because environmental science occupies now the center stage. And why it is so? For India it matters a lot because India is planning to have the Vikasit Bharat at 2047, and we are planning to become the third largest economy by the end of the decade and 5 trillion economy, and by 2047 we will become a developed nation and it could be 30 trillion economy. So when economy grows, that has implications for the environment. The second important aspect we should understand is that we are having a huge demographic dividend and the highest in the world. The productive age group of individuals is highest. And these two being the factors, there will be a lot of production and consumption activities, and it will be the century of India, and lot of development will take place, and consequently there will be a lot of environmental issues. That is why education is very important. Now I will just tell the learners the background about the policy, how it is and why it is important. Let me start with the first policy in 1968, National Policy on Education. Now that policy did not discuss environmental issue. Why it is so? Because whatever happens in the global scenario, global narrative or national narrative is reflected in the national policies. The next policy in 1986, which was modified in 1992, mentioned that all schools and colleges should be guided by environmental consciousness. Why this issue came? It did not come in 68, but it came in 86. The reason is in 86, before that there was the Stockholm Conference, Human and Environment. Our then Prime Minister attended that conference. And in the international scenario, the first time it was a major conference where all countries came together, and when the Prime Minister came back, then the development started taking place. So that is why in 1986 policy modified in 1992, we find a mention. But this policy in 2020 is totally different. Totally different in the sense it has given the course contents, it has given the credits, it has made it compulsory, and it has been aligned with the international developments. And that is why there is change in contents compared to the earlier syllabus, which I will explain, and how the importance has been given. You can see the guidelines were released in Environment Day last year, 2023. And this year in June 2024, UGC has been proactively giving ways in which, practical ways in which institutions can implement green policies, green actions, which are actionable ideas. And probably this is hand holding they are doing, and they are giving good ideas, number of ideas which I will share, which our higher education regulator is doing. So it is up to the institutions how they can do it. Many of them are of no cost. It only requires a willingness on the part of institution, the faculty, students and stakeholders to take part. Now, if you see the NEP 2020, it focuses on addressing the environmental concerns. There is an explicit recognition of addressing global needs for energy, water, food and sanitation. As Dr. Sushmitha Baskar mentioned, these are the issues, and this policy in the first few pages itself highlights these concerns, and it emphasizes the importance of integrating environmental education into the curricula. It also aims to seamlessly incorporate in all educational programs, and this recommendation not only includes in the higher education, it also includes in the school education. They have made this recommendation. Now, these are the societal issues which they are emphasizing, like clean water, sanitation, healthcare, transportation, air quality, energy, infrastructure. These are the areas. And it has been clearly mentioned that we need to merge cutting-edge science and technology with social sciences, humanities, and the socio-cultural and environmental aspects. This policy is very clear that we cannot achieve unless we integrate this. Also, it makes a very important recommendation that training professionals in emerging fields such as AI, 3D machining, machine learning are important. Why? Because the UG students needs to be exposed to the applications, these applications in health, environment and sustainable living to increase employability and also to achieve sustainability. Another interesting aspect of this policy that it specifies that disruptive technologies encompass clean energy, water conservation, sustainable farming, and environmental preservation. Now let me come to the schools. In the schools, they have said that it should be integrated across the curricula, and all B.Ed programs, the teachers who do the training, they have to compulsorily be integrated into environmental awareness and sensitivity so that this helps them teach. And the objective of raising awareness about environment, importance of water, resource conservation and hygiene. Now I will not dwell much into the school. NCERT takes care of it, and there are already in the class 6th to 12th you can see environmental components there, and you can also see in the social science subject also you have, and they have also prepared curricular materials for instructor materials, and then they do a lot of outreach activities. Now I come to the higher education, which is the environmental education in higher education institution. What does this policy recommend? Credit-based courses, and there should be projects related to community engagement, service and environmental education. Now this is a very important recommendation, and if you see the institutional development plan, which is one of the key documents which UGC has produced, it clearly says how much importance is given to the environmental issues. It talks about promotion of energy efficiency, waste reduction and minimizing environmental impact. It also talks about green campus strategies where you can do the conservation of the natural landscape, you can reduce carbon emission, you can conserve water resources, and awareness campaigns can be done. This IDP also talks about using recycled material and considering heat island effects in sustainable infrastructure designs. In short, building designs, the building materials are all very important to make the campus green and clean. And it also recommends phasing out fossil fuels, efficient and transportation strategies, eco-friendly technologies and alternative energy sources. Now, if you see the UGC curriculum, which they have given in 2023, this is based on the 2017 syllabus which was developed. It was a 8-module syllabus as a part of choice-based credit system, and this time this was that at that time it was called as Ability Enhancement Compulsory Course. They were designated as AECC, and they have a specific focus on enriching knowledge through content, and all disciplines were required to take it. This is an upgraded version. There is new addition in the topics, there is new addition in the method of evaluation, there is new addition in the field work which they have suggested, and there are new topics which are aligned with the global narratives. So we can see what is the difference between the different systems which have come. Now the first time the UGC gave the syllabus was in year 2003. What they recommended was 50 lectures, 4 credits, and field work is of 25 marks and exam is of 75 marks. Now learners, let me tell you, this 2003 syllabus did not come all of a sudden. In 1991, the courts directed the higher education institutions to formulate the subject, to formulate the structure so that at all levels the students can be made sensitive to environmental issues. But that was not happening, and in 2003 there was a follow-up order of the court that court said that this has to be implemented. Then UGC devised the syllabus. In a way, it was a proactive role of the judiciary which resulted in this syllabus. And that in 2003, it led to the idea of creation of environmental science as a subject. And 2017, this was the CBCS system which was followed. And if AICT also released during the same time when UGC released, but they made it non-credit and mandatory. Earlier, the universities implemented without having the marks or without having the credits. But UGC in 2017 letter clearly mentions that it should be compulsory course, otherwise there will be contempt of court. It clearly mentions that, and they devised 4 credit syllabus, and the syllabus was divided between first and second semester across the CBCS, all disciplines, and CGPA method was used for evaluation. Interestingly, in 2015, UGC also came up with a BSc Honours model curriculum for environmental science. Now, this made very important recommendations in the syllabus, and some of them had policy implications. For example, the recommendation mentioned who can teach the subject. Those who are trained MA, MSc in environmental science and PhD in environmental science or studies. They also recommended that we have to increase the fellowships. They also made a recommendation that independent departments of environment are to be established at undergraduate levels. Now, if you see the new syllabus and the old syllabus which was so far there is a lot of change. What is the change? Because of the global narratives, because of the national developments, what all changes are taking place are reflected. It has a complete topic on the sustainable development goals, the aims, objectives, targets, missions, etc. It also deals with the climate change, and it also deals with the environmental management. And this whole method is interdisciplinary approach to understanding these issues. Instead of having marks or these kind of things, it is more of outcome based approach which they are having. And this also has 8 interdisciplinary topics in 9 units, and 1 unit is dedicated to fieldwork and training. Now, how this fieldwork and training is different from the earlier recommendations? The earlier recommendations had only national case studies, but here, since we are now globalizing and NEP also talks about internationalization, we are now concerned that we should be a part of the global community, because internationalization is a very important development which has taken place in NEP 2020, which has not taken place in the earlier policies. So they talk about case studies of, international case studies also. Second, the difference is it also recommends that we should have the campus-based activities where the students are living so that they can work in their home. So the field work is very well defined, and a lot of options are given in that. Now, if you see from 2023 onwards, it has become a mandatory subject. It is not that it is optional, and it will address the obligation to attain the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. These are 17 goals of which India is a party, and we have to achieve these goals. Under the Ministry of Education guidelines, UGC has directed universities and colleges to incorporate a compulsory core subject on environmental studies across undergraduate programs, including general engineering, medical, architecture, pharmacy, management, and other fields. Learners, let me tell you, before NEP 2020 was there were around 14 professional bodies which manage the higher education. So whenever there was any directive, it was very difficult to implement. But NEP 2020 aims to bring all these under one umbrella, HECI, Higher Education Council of India, and the implementation of the policies would be easier. And one need not go to all the professional councils, because this will be the umbrella body except for medical and legal education. So having said that, what are the key takeaways of these 2023 guidelines? One, it will be a main subject. Environment will be a main subject. It will not be like the earlier system which we had. It will be a 4-credit course, and there will be issues or aspects having community engagement, service, and a practical knowledge and real life experience to be focused along with theory. This is very important. Real life experience to be focused along with theory. And in the guidelines, it is mentioned that students can achieve the credits within a time frame of 6 to 8 semesters. Now, this is what is given in the guidelines. Now, many universities are offering environmental programs at various levels, a certificate, diploma, degree levels. If you go to the Ministry of Education's e-learning portal, SWAYAM, you can see a lot of materials which are related to environment and sustainability and is open to everyone. And these guidelines cater to students from diverse disciplinary backgrounds to include topics to sensitize students about the nation's commitment towards achieving sustainable development goals. Learners, it is very interesting that in June 2024, UGC gave a number of practical guidelines like what can be done in the university. It is there in their website. You can see. And how higher education institution is not just planting trees, how they can really transform and how they can take along all the course stakeholders to implement this in letter and spirit. UGC may formulate guidelines, but it is up to the faculty, students and higher education institutions to take it in the true spirit. Now, the first one was they are given. If you see in the screen, you can see what can be done in courses and programs. It's something that environmental science curriculum has to be integrated in academics. This is a very, very important and very nice way of putting it, that include in courses that integrate climate science and sustainability, and include environmental awareness and action across all disciplines. It doesn't matter which discipline it is, and all are connected to environment, whether they are social sciences or anything, you can integrate them. And specialized programs and workshops on specific environmental topics, this can be done. And they have also recommended to develop certificate programs in sustainability. Dear learners, IGNOU has a lot of programs in environment, right from certificate program to diploma to postgraduate diploma to master's program and PhD program in environmental sciences. So this is the recommendation which UGC has given. The second important suggestion they are given, what can be done in research initiatives. Really, it has been formulated with a lot of application of mind, and it is very easy for the institutes to understand. They can do it with zero cost involvement. They can create research centers which are focused on environmental studies, because there is always interdisciplinary areas, transdisciplinary areas which have common interface with environment, and you can create those centers. And the student project can be on the real environmental issues, on regional issues. For example, they could work on nearby environmental problems like water quality, soil quality, to give an example, or solid waste management, etc. And the next important recommendation what they make is create living laboratories for engaging in real-time sustainability efforts. This living laboratories is a very innovative idea. And research on climate resilience and sustainability practices. Learners, you know how much important climate change is. Whenever the prime ministers and presidents of nations meet, one of the important agenda is relating to environment, and mostly it is climate change, because we cannot tackle this global issues individually. No nation can solve it, whether it is environmental ozone depletion, acid rain, climate change, or even microplastics in oceans, because they are all connected. It is very important. If you see the next initiative what they have suggested, what can be done in experiential learning. For example, there can be student-faculty exchange, there can be green clubs, there can be appointment of sustainability ambassadors for promoting green practices, there can be volunteer opportunities and community campaigns, there can be scholarships, awards and recognition programs, there can be campus-wide sustainability and challenges. And the next one, they have said what can be done in faculty development. For example, you can train and give resource support to faculty to integrate sustainability into their courses, whatever they are teaching. And community outreach they can be involved, and campus-wide activities, initiatives they can be involved. The next one UGC says is what can be done in the institutional policies. This is very important. It says follow the 6R. You can see reduce, reuse, recycle, repurpose, repair and regenerate, and establish teams and committees to oversee and implement sustainability initiatives. Green procurement policies. Set and publicly commit to carbon neutrality targets. Implement carbon offset programs. The next one is again institutional policies. Campus-wide sustainability dashboard to give publicity, regular green audits, carbon footprint, publish annual sustainability reports, use app to track energy and all green metrics to do. All these things, and green orientation programs, and develop sustainability literature for assessment to anyone. Like also they have given now how to reduce the water. For example, fix the leaking taps or use low flow pipes or aerators, all these things, and grey water can be reused for irrigation in the campus. All these are suggested. Now, what is the significance of this policy? This policy is very, very significant given the background of the situation where we are living. India is going to become a developed country by 2047. It is going to be a 30 trillion economy. Lot of economic activities will take place. Lot of consumption and production activities will take place. There will be a lot of negative externalities in environment. There will be a requirement of huge manpower to deal with these issues, so that in the initial stage itself we can deal with it. And this document, Viksit Bharat at 2047, deals with sustainability principles also as one of the aspects. And environmental education is not a curriculum. It encourages comprehension and responsible attitudes towards environment. It inspires people to become aware and take steps to address environmental issues. Integration of environmental education into the education system is crucial and transformative. And we should recognize the connections between environmental issues, economy, future survival. This has to be recognized. Inclusive growth hinges on sustainability. Environment means air, environment means water, environment means soil, environment means food, environment means health, environment means people. And unless we focus on these aspects, it may be too late if we do not act now. And rightly so, the higher education regulator in our country is proactively taking number of guidelines, including the bicycle day. They have taken out how in the campus you can do the bicycling, save energy. It also adds to health, and how the faculty and the students can do. So all these are number of initiatives. Ultimately, I would talk about the last slide of mine is the Sustainable Development Goals. This is the very important aspect, and all countries are aiming to this. Whatever education system we may have, we aim for planetary and human well-being. And these Sustainable Development Goals, which were developed by UN in 2015 and to be achieved by 2030, covers all topics, and these are all related to environment, whether it is poverty, hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable energy, decent work, economic growth, industry, reduced inequality, sustainable cities, responsible consumption and production, climate change, life below water, life on land, peace, justice and strong institution, partnership for goals. So everything is related to environment. In fact, you cannot imagine any subject. It just you have to remember everything is interconnected, interrelated and interdependent, and you can link it with the environmental issues. Thank you, Dr. Sushmitha.
Thank you, sir, for discussing about the National Education Policy 2020 and environmental education, and the various ways and steps how the environmental education and sustainable development goals could be incorporated in teaching in the school curriculum, in the higher education institutes, and also in teaching in the research laboratories, how the research centers also can focus on these aspects, and how again the infrastructure in every institution can also be developed based on these goals. So, my dear viewers and learners, I hope you have had an understanding of the role and how important education is and environmental education is in forming the sustainable societies. Thank you for your patient listening.
Thank you very much.